I've made a few minor changes off camera, and let's see what they are. So we can load an image, and basically I took this thing that we built the last time. I added some lines that shows visually the value that you have chosen. There's now two values you can change, and I flipped it on the side, as you can see. The reason for flipping it on the side is I want to put it over here to kind of mimic an image component I've seen in a framework called PyQt Graph. It doesn't really matter, but I just want to put it over here on the side. So kind of like take up the full space, and then yeah, here. But before we do that, I want to refactor the code so this image component thing is a little bit more reusable, let's say. So we have this big chunk of code here. I want to make that into a separate function and probably include the canvas, this thing that we call the canvas there as well. So let's say image component, and the key is, I think, that we will take a UI, and that's what we will plot the thing into, and that will give us some nice flexibility, I think. So to get started, I think we can copy all of this. So image component, and let's see how well that works. It is complaining about something, because what we need to do is, of course, actually wrap this whole thing in this. So bracket, and we also need the context. Fair enough. Context, and then we should have another complaint. Let's actually just deal with all these like annoying warnings right now. Here I'm just gonna say allow the code because I don't want that right now. These unused variables, they are fine to mark like that. We never actually call the function, that's why it's not complaining. Okay, so here we should say self.image component. We need to take a UI, and we need to take the context. And now I think we can get rid of this. All right, so let's get rid of this. Yeah. Slightly more readable. Let's see if it still works more or less the same way. And we load, and everything here comes out the same way. But now we can do something. So let's see here what we say. So we have the image width and stuff. Scaled size. I actually don't remember how exactly it works. As is often the case when you haven't looked at the code for a long time, it's also like a long function. But anyway, I think here we should say allocate painter. No, we don't need that. Allocate response. The thing is, I want to just take up all the space, available size before available rec before. Let's see. So we can allocate a UI. I don't want that, I think. And allocate a rectangle. It's not necessarily what I want. I don't want this. New UI, no response. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we'll say not direct actually, available size before wrap. And that's gonna give us the size. And then I will try to just use that here. Let's run that. So see, now it's taking up a lot of space. And of course, that's not what we want. But then how you would use it is you would say UI.allocate UI. And let's say we want something that has size like 200. And then we have to give it a closure. So we give it a closure like this. So we say like, give me a UI of size 200 and use that UI to create an image component. Load it now, you can see it's size 200. I think we messed up the aspect ratio again. So why don't we go check that out. So here we're actually using the, so let's get the aspect ratio. So width divided by height. And then this one we can make immutable, and then we can say size y, we multiply by, actually, let's say if aspect ratio is less than 1, that means the width is smaller than the height. So I want to do it like this. Size x, divide by aspect ratio. I think that's correct. Feels like a little bit weird, but let's just try it. So that was definitely wrong. And width divided by height. Right, actually I think it should be like this. And come on, compile, and that looks more correct. But we still have another issue, like maybe this size is not rectangular, so we should say the available aspect ratio would be size x over size y, and this is a 32, and we need to correct for that. So probably we need to do this. Oops. Come on. Still looks about correct. I feel like it complained about something. Maybe that's in here. What's in here? Maybe it's in here. Yes. So 2. Okay. No more warnings. Now let's test the aspect ratio thing, because here we could say allocate like a really weird size, like very like narrow, tall thing, and it should still give us the correct aspect ratio. So it does. It kind of takes up the full space here. Let's try the other way around. And that looks wrong. That looks way taller than 100. So something went wrong. So available size. Maybe we can do it like this. If the aspect ratio is less than the available aspect ratio, then that means that we should scale down the width of the size, because we can only scale things down, so we don't take up more space. And here, if the aspect ratio is the side aspect ratio is larger than the available, then we should scale down the height of the size, because that will increase the available aspect ratio. So now we should say size.x, we have to scale it down, and we want to kind of maybe like this. Should be a number less than 1, and here it should be the other way around. So let's try to test that. We actually had some old code. Let's go with that. And let's see what happens. So we load. That looks about correct. And let's try to... So now it actually didn't take up too much space. Let's try this one. That's also fine. And this roughly square, not completely square, but roughly square image. And now we can take up some nice space. Okay. So that's pretty nice, because now we can just like, you know, do it a bunch of times. Let's say we want another one. We want to show 2 images. So we could do something like this. And very easy to reuse now. We get 2 images, and right now, of course, they are kind of linked, but because they refer to the same state, and if I run some kind of operation, it will be applied to both, and that's of course not what you would want. So we also need some way to have separate states, but we'll do that later when we kind of like there's a lot of code when we kind of refactor this state from the image into a separate thing. And you can have more of those and so on. All right. Next thing is we want to put the canvas into the image component, and we want to reserve a little bit of space. So how much space do we want to reserve? Let's say 7.5%. So that means the size is actually, we're going to take away 70, we said 7.5, so we're going to take away 7.5, and then we will get another one. We'll try to allocate another UI, and what is the size of that? Let's call it the canvas size. And this is supposed to be a vector 2, so we can say give me a vector 2 of size. Actually, let's do it here. So let's size x times 0.075 with the same height. And then let's write this in a slightly different way, because we'll just make sure things are always in sync. And we can do that, that's fine. All right, get rid of that one. And what we want to do now is, let's say after we do all this drawing code, we are going to say self.canvas. Okay, we need some kind of UI, so where are we going to get that UI from? Well, let's allocate a UI, and the size is going to be the canvas size. And then we do this closure, and think should be good to go. And that did not work. So probably it's the layout that's wrong. And we need to wrap this stuff in a horizontal layout. So let's try that. Horizontal. And what does it take? It just takes function. So I think we do this. And this. Let's try to run it. That did not work. Mutable self. So can we do this? Is that allowed with borrowing rules? Okay, that's fine. By me. So, okay. And that's of course because all this stuff that we're laying out in all the buttons and stuff, that's actually supposed to be a vertical layout. So we can hopefully, let's say vertical. And the text, maybe we need to clone the text handle, but we'll get to that later. So let's just go here. And the canvas size, of course, that's kind of like something that has to live outside that. And yeah, so we cannot do this, but we can say clone. No reason to have a pointer at this point. So I think texture handles should be okay to clone, I hope. Okay. Okay. The image is like way too small, and it's probably because all of this is taking up space. So, I mean, this sounds like a bit excessive to make it 800, but let's try to have one that's 800 just to see how it looks. Yeah, still not good. And another thing is that actually the horizontal layout is like not everywhere. So get rid of this stuff. And where do we actually draw the image? Where do we actually draw the image? This is where we draw the image. So here we should say, give me a horizontal layout. I think. That did not work. Maybe this has to be in here. All right, I don't get why this is happening. Is it because we are allocating too much size here? it's possible. So let's go down here and do this. Like that. Let's try that. But the layout is also wrong. So probably not. It's probably not this. Okay, maybe there's a problem in the canvas code. Yeah, so here it's actually asking for a specific amount of space. So we should actually check how much space there is available size before wrap, and then that is what we should use. So let us try that. So now that one is too large, of course. Okay, at least it kind of has the right width, but still not in the correct position. So I think I'm gonna fix that off screen. Or you know what, let's do something. Let's try to refactor this. So we have here handle zoom, and that thing, I think let's pull that out. So let's say let this thing equal self.handle zoom, and we'll grab all of this stuff and we will put it in here. Handle zoom, probably mutable self, and it's going to return something. And what is it going to return? It's going to return a rectangle and another rectangle. Right, so go back. Down here, we're going to return the rectangle and the rectangle. Let's actually just do an explicit return. And the same, no, we don't need that here. Okay, this one needs some kind of rectangle. So let's give it a rectangle. And we don't need these mutable thingies. And then here, let's give it the original rect. So that should be fine. And then let's actually test it before we go too far. So we load. We can still drag it, because we can change that. We can also still zoom. So we're happy about that. And this one is a little bit more tricky because it's modifying some stuff. So let's say self dot handle drag. We'll take a drag delta and it will take mutable references to these guys. And I'm going to grab this. Handle drag. Just take a reference to self, and we'll take a drag delta, which is probably just a vector. It's a vector. And what did we say? We said it's a rectangle, and it's a mutable reference to a rectangle, and it's a UV rectangle, also a mutable reference. And then we do all this stuff. So this one actually has to be mutable because it's changing something there. And great. So now this main function looks a little bit simpler. And we can actually, let's say, size, canvas size. We can call that self.allocate sizes. And we need the UI, and that's about it, I think. Then we can grab this stuff, and we can say allocate sizes. Takes a reference to self, takes a reference to a UI, and it returns to vector tools. I think they are vector tools. So we're going to say return size, canvas size, and that should do it. Okay. So that seems like a bit of a simplification. Things have not really changed. So that is great. Let's try without the UI here. Let's see what happens. So we're still I think that's why. So we were still losing the buttons and stuff because we didn't actually reset the clip rectangle. So how about we try this? Okay, does not work. What if we also set it in here? So probably we don't want that. We also want this thing. Can we do that? Okay, that seems to work. Let's make this mutable and let's try to make it just like a little bit smaller on the X. Because I feel like it might be wrapping or something like that. No. What if we do like size.x like that? So wrong key. No, so it's something else that's causing the wrap. And these don't need to be immutable. And it might be this one. So available size. Here we're not allocating anything, so it's not that one. And here we're allocating exact size. And maybe that means that the kind of like the pointer of where to draw the next widget is also being moved down. So can we say allocate response? What does this one do? So it says return a rectangle with exactly. So I don't think this will work. Maybe, so the problem is actually let's do it like this. So like components rectangle, let's do it like this. So that's gonna be a UI dot allocate UI. No, we don't want to do that. So what do we want to do? Okay, I have a hypothesis. So this is going to allocate some space and then move the pointer to the next position. And since this is like implicitly in a vertical layout, it will like move down one row. So that means we should actually do it here. And we can save that. This one, handle zoom, handle drag, all that stuff then has to end up in here. We set the clip rectangle, and that might do it. Let's see. Yeah. That's good stuff. So not sure what happened to the clip rectangle. It clearly didn't work. So clip rectangle, handle zoom. Okay, so that's probably because this stuff is doing weird stuff. So we need to actually clip before. Probably do that. Let's load. All right. There is a little bit of spacing there. I don't understand why that is. Don't understand that. But that's all right. Let's remove this one. Let's make it actually a little bigger. And then let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. This stuff, not interesting. And okay. Did we change something here? Don't think we did. Maybe we just make it 10% for now. Okay. So apart from this spacing that I really didn't want, but I suppose we can change that. So can we say that's spacing? No. Okay, the initial height there, so there is some kind of style. So can we say style? Set style. Maybe we do it here. So set style. And what should it be? I don't even know how to do that. So style. Well, maybe we can say UI, just get me the style and then say width spacing. No, I don't. I want to. Okay, so let's maybe try to along the style. Actually, let's not do that right now. It's not so important. What we need to do is fix the canvas, because clearly like it's doing something weird when it's drawing the rectangles. The rectangles are not going from, you know, top to bottom. They are only taking up a very small amount of space. And I think the reason is like it wants to take up a square amount of space. And we have this thing, square proportions. So what if we don't do that? What if we just do this about proportions? We need a vector 2. So do we have like a width width. Okay, so we actually, and this has to be, it has to be a vector, so we can say vector2, give me the width and give me the height. What if we do that? Probably it's wrong. Yeah, that's wrong, because here we have the size of the rectangle, and this one, let's say 1, and let's say divided by the width. Let's try that. For some reason still doesn't work. Let's try this instead, with height. Okay, so now at least like these lines are shown correctly. Still the right. So when we construct those guys, we have to also do that. This part of the function constructs the rectangles, the red rectangles. So okay, that didn't work. Why did the other one work? This one doesn't. I'm just gonna try random things until something sticks. Yes, I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Okay, so that did not work either. Okay, I couldn't get it to work, so instead of using this to screen transformation, we're gonna make our own. So transform red, and it's going to be just like a local closure. And what are we gonna do? We are going to take a rect, and we're going to scale the x from 0 to 1, going from 0 to 1 to whatever this is. Right. So let's say current width is rect.width. Okay. Current height, rect.height. So these values, okay, I can give it a type. Stop it for complaining. These values should be going between 0 and 1. So that means the new width is going to be response, right? Response rect width times current width. The same thing for the height. Scale it up. And what is the starting position? The starting position of these rectangles will be between 0 and 1. And of course, it should now be let's say current start. Could that be okay? That's a vector, and that's just a field, I think. So let's say, so we have an x and a y there, and that means the new start is going to be rect. Well, let's say start is the response rectangle, or target start, the minimum. And the new start is going to be the current, let's say the target start, plus the, actually we need this one again, the width of that guy times the current start dot, and that is just going to be the the x and the y. And here we're going to have x and y, and it's going to be height y. So now we have the start and the width, the start and the size. So now we can return a rectangle from position points. Why don't we have left top corner plus the size? Okay, great. So needed the position. And the size, new width, new height. So we got that, and then we will try to use that here instead of what we had before. See if it works. All right, great. So now we have this nice little histogram on the side. We can do this stuff. And we can even get multiple components like this very easily. Don't know why nothing is being shown down here. That is very suspicious. It is very suspicious. And that is okay. So that's because we only have one histogram rects in the app, and they both of them are trying to kind of use that. So only one of them wins. But what we can do is we can basically take all of this, maybe not the background job thing, but all of this, and put it into a separate struct that will be like our image component. Then we have kind of a reusable image component, and we're also going to take all of these methods and stuff and put that into the image component. And then we'll have a reusable image thingy, image widget, custom image widget. And we will be so happy. But I think this is it for now. So I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.